Nico. Boston College this week. I know we talked about Pittsburgh a few weeks ago as one of the rivals of this team. Where do you see Boston College as far as rivalries are concerned in your football team?
Boston College is right there. And obviously, we had a couple of the guys talking about this game as soon as we finished with the Florida State game. They understand that this game is different. The hitting in it is different. It would go right along with the other rival that we played that we're not going to mention because this is Boston College week. And we understand what that means, and it's going to be a physical contest. I think our guys are excited, and they understand that the older guys have to lead in a situation like this because the younger guys don't know, and it's not their fault they don't know. But once they have a taste of it, they'll understand.
Yeah, Brandon.
So after Saturday, first time to the offensive lineman, you started Berger on our right tackle, and so with that shift, did you see any growth in the offensive line in any areas? And so what were they and what still needs to be worked on?
Brandon, I did see some growth. I thought that they came out and they fought extremely well. I thought for the very first time I felt like we had series where we could actually run the football and move the football. I thought that we were moving the football against good personnel. I went back and checked, and there was a lot more ones in there than what I thought after the game, and I'm excited about that. The growth needs to continue. I thought Bergeron did an okay job for his first extended work, and we want to see him continue to grow. The one good thing about him is that even though he's a young guy in year, he's not a young guy in age. So there was some physicality about him while he was out there, and we were excited about the way he played.
Do you see that kind of aspect in some of the CHF players you bring in who are freshmen at 20, 21 years old?
I didn't understand quite the
Those
question.
Canadian players who come in at 20, 21 years old, do you see that physicality in a lot of them?
I do. They got a little hockey mentality to them when you talk to them. And then the other thing is you got to understand, and I think you do understand, the freshmen that come from Canada, normally they're two-language people. So they're very, very intelligent. You know, English is normally for a lot of those guys, it's their second language, and they may speak their second language better than some of our guys' first language. So they're really, really sharp people. For the most part, the physicality doesn't bother them, and you know, we love our brothers to the north, and we'll continue to recruit up there.
Yeah. I think mental mistakes has kind of come up a couple times from watching you and some of the players, and just kind of what's been happening in the last couple of games. What's the difference between how you fix mental mistakes and other mistakes?
You know, Coach Tomey, who was my head football coach at the University of Hawaii, who passed away this year, he had a line that at first I didn't understand when I was a young freshman, and then as I got older, it started to stick with me. And the line he used to use was, you know, try less harder. I know, it's like, you know, what? But try less harder. I think they're getting out there and they want to win so bad, and they want to do well so bad that they jump, they move. They make a mental mistake that is, they've done it right 1,000 times. You know, when we try something, they've done it right a bunch of times before we're going to take a chance during the game. And we have a lot of confidence that they're going to do it right in the game. And then they blank for a second. And I think that whole attitude, just try less harder, take a deep breath, relax. We had a couple of situations where the running backs were, and I talked to them about it Sunday, where they were in the open field, and I'm not going to say they tackled themselves, but nobody really tackled them. And I pointed it out to one young man on Sunday. I said, when you get this much grass, which you're probably not used to, this is, hey, you haven't seen this for a while. I said, you're in the secondary, you got one guy to beat, you got a blocker in front of you. As crazy as this sounds, even though you're moving full speed, just take a deep breath and just relax for a second. Just slow down a little bit, because this guy's probably going to make a block for you. And then once this action happens at the next second or two, you're going to know exactly what to do. Your natural instincts will take over. So I think it goes back to what Coach Tomey talked about, and just try less harder, because they all have the skills or they wouldn't be here.
The team's been called to the third most companies in the country this year. This might relate back to mental mistakes, but I was just curious what you think the big leagues are there overall sort of reasons for that keep coming up, or is this one that's called the third most called usually?
Well, some of it is how we do things. You know, when we play at a very fast rate, we're not going to slow down. So if you've got someone who's thinking about for the very first time what to do, the ball's being snapped very quickly, somebody on defense might move, they're reacting to it, and now it comes to a judgment call whether they were right or whether they were wrong. And we have to be able to adjust to that, okay? We have to be able to, once again, settle down and let the game come to us, even though we haven't been out there a lot of times. Now, when the older guys have penalties, that's different, okay? And that's the thing that's troubling. The younger guys, it's going to happen, and then they should get over it. The older guys, it shouldn't be happening that much, and that's where we've got to settle down. Is we got too many older guys having penalties, and we can't have that with as many young guys that we have playing. Okay.
I'm kind of curious, I asked you about the offensive coaching staff and the camera specifically last week. I really don't want to upset those guys. Is there anything you're changing what you're doing week to week to try and find different combinations of players and formations and things to find sparks here?
Everything is not down to players and formations. We got plenty of formations, okay, and we can try all kinds of stuff. It really comes down to elephants and hippos. And the more secure you are up front, the more things that you can do with everything else. If you got a heck of a cake, you can put all different types of icing on it, and everybody likes it. But if you got a cake that tastes bad, it doesn't matter what kind of icing you put on it. So it always comes down to me, to the O-line and the D-line. If you're secure there, you can start growth everywhere else.
So in a season like this, would you say it's unfair to, I mean, not that we necessarily criticize Mike Lynch and the staff, but from an outside perspective, there just isn't quite enough to work with right now?
I wouldn't say that in the way you said it. What I would say is the youth from that side of the ball. It keeps you from being able to do some of the things that you could really exploit some people with, because they're just not used to it. And then the flip side of that is this may look really good, but now you've got somebody that could lose a physical one-on-one battle that could really allow you to isolate somebody and get after them. So there's certain things that you can't do because physically they can't hold up, or mentally it may be too much for them.
So far this year, the things that haven't gone your way, how much about what you're saying to the team in here is about letting them know that there are still goals that can be achieved this year? There is still the postseason on the table, things like that. How much can you say that to your guys while they're in here to kind of keep things going forward?
You know, I think that everybody, the community, everybody let it get away from us a little bit. And I think the biggest thing is that we need to reel it back in. And what we need to do is, we talked about eliminating mental mistakes, playing physical. We didn't turn the ball over. I want to say we didn't turn the ball over the last game. We didn't get a turnover the last game. You know, there's good things happening, but there's not enough good things. The big thing for me is I want to make sure there's growth with these young men. I don't know, we're going to figure out why it happened, but everything happens for a reason. And there's good fathers in here, there's good sons, and I want these guys to be fantastic husbands. And I think that this adversity that we're going through is going to make them better. And we need to work our way through it and persevere. And I believe we will, by staying together and not giving any fault to anyone else, and seeing if we can find a way to win one football game. And I think that is the growth that they're going to have. And they're going to take this experience with them forever. The whole experience of what they thought was going to happen, what people told them was going to happen, and then exactly what happened. Because you have to work hard. You have to work hard, and it's not a gift, and nothing's preordained. So I messed that word up. But I think that from a life lesson, that this will go with them a long, long way, and I think it's going to make them better. So I'm going to try to find the positive in the negative in this, along with myself.
Are you guys targeting older freshmen? Like the Canadian guys are always going to be a little older, but it's almost fun. You know, Jordan, two freshman linebackers there, and strategy for this kind of.
You know, my first college roommate in Hawaii was a Canadian guy, 6'7", blonde hair, blue eyes, Jim Mills. Okay, Google that one. And skinny guy, didn't play, redshirted his first year. I want to say he ended up being the rookie of the year in the National Football League. Now, this is how old I am, because I want to say it was the Baltimore Colts and not the Indianapolis Colts. Okay? But I learned right then, I watched that guy as a freshman, he didn't know what in the heck he was doing. Okay, and he was my college roommate. And then he grew into a fantastic offensive tackle. Long, crazy, liked contact, could drink a lot of iced tea. I'd never seen anybody drink iced tea as much as he could drink. It was unbelievable. But a really, really good guy and a really fun football player to be around. I've always seen that with the Canadian players. You know, they love hockey so much up there that, you know, hockey and football, they're not the same, but there's some things that cross over. So I'm excited about our recruiting up there. It's something that I enjoy. I think it's a blessing that they're so close to us. And for a lot of those countries up there, I shouldn't say country, for a lot of those provinces up there, we're the closest thing to them, you know, unless they're on the other side of the United States. So I think the two closest schools to Canada is Washington State and Syracuse University. Okay, Washington State University and Syracuse University. So I'm excited about that. And I think that is something, as long as I'm here, it's something that we're always going to try to do. The age thing, I just think is happening because of their educational system. But trust me, even at 18 and 19, they're big physical cats. And for some reason, they're large people. There's some big people up there.
Yeah, I was more talking about mainland guys, you know,
Oh.
like Lynn, who's 19. I like him registered, he's upper class.
No, yeah, I think when they get older, yeah, but we're not doing that on purpose. We're not going after the older American senior. We're not doing that. We're just trying to look for the best prospect that we can, and if they're ready, we'll play them. If not, we'll redshirt them, and we'll see where they grow to. So I'm sorry I misinterpreted your question.
Mike, Florida State, Boston College all supports a really strong running game. What lessons can the defense take from the loss this past weekend to improve for the matchup to come?
Well, again, we're dealing with a fantastic back in Dillon. Even their backup, I believe, rushed for like 122 yards against NC State, and we couldn't move the ball against those guys at all. So they have two very, very talented running backs. Their starting quarterback got hurt, so they're with their backup quarterback. And I really feel that that's based off of Coach Adazio and their football team. That's what he wants to do. Coach Adazio used to work here at Syracuse University. They want to run the football. He's an old O-line coach. And that's how they decided that they want to win football games. And we've got to line up, match their physicality, and stop the run. If we don't do that, it will not be good. And that's the number one thing. We know it's the number one thing. They know what they're going to do, and they're going to still come in here and run the football. So there's no trickery. There's no trick or treat that's going to be going on this weekend. Everybody's going to know what's going to happen.
John, with that, I feel like from the outside perspective, with people that don't know the X's and O's that well, when you see a running team and you'll hear just staff talk with 8 guys in there, why is it not that simple? I feel like it is that simple. They don't have a rushing back.
I'm smiling because it's a really, really good question. It's a good question. I want to give it all the justice. It's not that simple because guys get to block people. Because, yeah, you can put 8 guys up there and you can cover every gap. I got the D, I got the C, you got the B, you got the A. Every gap is covered. And now they've got 7 guys that get to block the people in that gap. And then you got to hold that gap. And you got a guy trying to throw you out of that gap, trying to throw you out of the bar, and you're trying to get back in the bar, get back in the gap. And that's the whole battle. It is so cool, okay, because they're trying to move people that don't want to be moved, and you're trying to stay in a gap, and they're trying to throw you out of it. And that's old-fashioned football. And you have to embrace that part of it. And I think since I've been here, every game that we played against them, the most physical team won. Every game. Look at the score, look at the hitting that was going on, go back since I've been here. Whichever team was the most physical won the game. Now, I'm not going to say it's been that way. And it's hard not to beat them if you're not going to be more physical than them. That's going to just be lucky. But if you match the physicality, you have a chance.
So with that, a lot of BC's success has come down to that line, to some extent, being able to beat some of that rally.
Watch O-line and D-line, elephants and hippos. No, it's important that you both sides. That's where a lot of their outstanding players are. And then of course you get a Heisman Trophy tailback, okay? And you get some good linebackers and some tough guys around there. And that's not to take away from the receivers or their DBs, but that's how their team is built, okay? They have better matchups on certain teams than other teams. But for us, and the way we match up against them, we got to match the physicality.
Have two more questions, Andrew?
You mentioned trick or treat a minute ago, and I'm curious, I wanted to ask you about the double passes, sort of trick plays that run against you that
Mhm.
have worked. I guess when you look back on film of those plays, is there any sort of consistent thing you're seeing that either you're doing defensively that opponents are picking up on, or something that's sort of like keying in that play and letting it work, or has it just sort of been breakdown in different ways each time?
Well, first of all, I think there's been 4 of them, and three of them have worked, and one has been dropped that would have worked. And if you go back to the one from last week, the guy was in the grass of somebody, and he, this is not an excuse. He barely got the ball off to a quarterback who was actually being grabbed before that, and then the guy let him go. Then the ball came back to him, then he had to go back after the quarterback, and then right when he was about to, I think he actually hit the quarterback, but the quarterback threw the ball back, and then the quarterback threw the ball back to a guy that was actually being covered. But now, since there was 2 guys, he stopped covering the other guy to go cover the other guy, and then the ball went to the guy that he was actually covering the first time. So you could see it was a well-designed play. And that's part of it, though. I mean, hats off to them. You have to call it. If one of those passes get picked off, if one of those things get knocked down and it's a touchdown run the other way, everyone's saying, like, why did you run that play? That wasn't worth the gamble and the whole 9 yards. But that's part of the trickery. I mean, I know we called a play a couple of years back where Eric Dungy ran down the middle of the field, and he got hit, and everybody said, don't ever call that play because why would you risk him, da-da-da, 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 and okay, I won't call that play if you guys don't want us to call that play. But that's all part of it. Quarterbacks and the Philly special and all that kind of stuff. If you're going to do that stuff, you got to be willing to take the high end and then take the results if it doesn't work out your way, if you're going to try to be that creative. So.
Time for one more question? Any? Chances to get anyone back this weekend? Bears?
I would say no to Bear. I haven't seen him. I would say no. Now I'm going to say no, and then he's going to pop up, and you guys are going to get mad at me. But I haven't seen him all year, so I don't see why I would say yes now. And for the rest of the guys, I won't know till Monday. I really won't. I would hope that the guys that didn't play, they'd be healthy enough to play this week, but we'll see. Okay? Thanks, guys.